Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is CK's Antics. I'm your host, CK, and today is December 10th. We're going to talk national holidays. First, let me wish my sister a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, Kyle. All right, so what is on the calendar for today, December 10th, which is Thursday? Let's take a look. Dewey Decimal System Day, Human Rights Day, Hanukkah, and National Lager Day. Not lager as in the, lumberjack type of lager. No, we're talking lager, the beer, the thing you drink, the good stuff. So, interesting, before we get on all this, I enjoyed looking at today's stuff because the photos that come for today's things, a lot, are my own photos that I took. Because we get to explore some things and traveling through Europe that I had. Because, we're talking beer, so clearly I've got pictures of beer. The Dewey Decimal System, yeah, I even got somewhat sort of related pictures to that. So those are the two that are going to be highlighted with my own photos that I don't even have to go and find, which was really cool. And I got to do a little trip down memory lane and remember my adventures. So let's get started. Dewey Decimal System Day. All right, Dewey Decimal. Hopefully we all know who he is. But Dewey Decimal, the person who actually created the Dewey Decimal System was Melville Dewey. He obviously created it. He was born, though, on this day, which is why we celebrate the Dewey Decimal System Day on this day. It's in memory of his birthday, which he was born in 1851 on this day in New York. Another interesting fact about the Dewey Decimal System is that it was published in 1876. He was 21 at the time when he did this, and he came up with the Dewey Decimal System. And if you are old enough to remember this, doing research for papers and whatnot, when you would go to the library, you had to go this thing called a file catalog. Do you remember those? Okay. Guess who created that? Dewey Decimal. Yeah. So he came up with a system, and then he actually designed the card file system that goes with it, which is really cool. And what did he do? He started his own business. That's right. He founded the Library Bureau, which was a company that sold index cards and filing cabinets. So he's like, guess what? I have a really cool idea. Here's the idea. And guess what? Everyone's going to use it. And you know what? I'm going to design these little filing cabinets. I'm going to design a filing system. And I'm going to sell that to people. Totally entrepreneur. Totally love it. And that's something I did not know about the Dewey Decimal System. Now, those pictures right there, that's all of my pictures. They all come from the Baroque Library in the Czech Republic. There were 2 library halls in this little tour that I was able to go on. It probably cost, I don't know, $10, $12 US. I don't know, because in the Czech Republic, they don't use the euro. They actually use their own currency, which is the krone. So it's monopoly money to me, because when I was pulling it out of the ATM, to be honest with you, I had no idea how much I was pulling out. It was because the exchange rate, not exchange, but the rate exchange was so hard, like so high. You would say very similar, kind of almost to when I lived in Japan, where €100 bill was basically like $10. Well, it was like that, but on a much grander scale, where I have a $10,000 bill in krone, which really is just like $10, but the bill says like 10,000. So yeah, it's really interesting, which is why I just call it monopoly money. But anyway, so American, it probably costs, $12. You actually have to pay if you wanted. You had to pay additional it was like an additional 20 krone or whatever if you wanted to like take pictures while walking through their museum, which obviously I did. Totally worth it. But yeah, so this is the Baroque Library, Czech Republic. That's where it's at. there were 2 library halls that we could view, and we weren't allowed to walk in them, which is why those pictures are really like long shots of the library, and you're like, there's no one in there. That's pretty cool. Well, we weren't allowed in there, and the reason why we weren't allowed is because the CO2 that you expel when breathing there's damaging enough to those books, because they're so old. They didn't want us in the halls anymore. So we could only view the library halls from the end. But you know what? It worked out because it makes for awesome pictures where no one's in the shot, which I love. And you get to see like the full ceiling and the paintings and all that stuff. And they had recently, like within the last like 5 years or so, redid both of those halls and just got them kind of almost back to almost their original state, which was kind of neat. A lot of refurbishing and stuff like that was done. But yeah, all those are real books. It's not like that's not a fake library where those like what looks like books, but they're not books. Nope, those are all books. A majority of those books are Bibles, and different translations of Bibles. So, but I did find it really interesting, and it was really cool. So there you go, Baroque Library in Czech Republic. So if you're ever in the Czech Republic and you want to go check it out, definitely go check it out. It's like in the old part of like the old Czech Republic, or old Prague or whatever. But yeah, very historical and a lot of fun. And there was a really beautiful restaurant to eat with a beautiful view of the city. Afterwards, when I left. Anyways, I'm reminiscing now, but no, it's really good. But we're not done talking about the Dewey Decimal System. So next, there are 5 interesting facts about libraries. Because we know Dewey Decimal System, libraries, they go hand in hand. So first one, the Long Room of Old Library in Dublin, Ireland, Trinity College has been an active library since 1732. Wow, that is really, really long. So that's pretty cool. Then, number 2, Osmotic in Versailles, France, is a library of perfumes of over 3,000 scents. I wish I would have known that, because I could have made a trip to Versailles when I was in Paris. But here's my thing about this one I'm curious about. So I have a very strong sense of smell, and I kind of get overwhelmed way too much when I walk into like a candle shop or a lotion shop or any type of shop where the scents just almost like hit you in the face. Bath and Body Works is another one. I have a hard time going to those places just because it's just like overload sensory smell. So I wonder how they do that with perfumes, because some perfumes can be very, very powerful. So with over 3,000 scents, that would be an interesting experience if you do walk in and it just like hits you all at once. I doubt it is, but I am curious to see how it is sectioned out and what this looks like. So definitely on my bucket list of things to do when I go back to Europe. Now, number 3, the Vatican Apostolic Archive, which was created by Pope Paul V in 1612. It is the Vatican Secret Archive, which contains the private papal collection and documents such as correspondence, account books, and records. So that's kind of cool. There's its own library. Number 4, the Conjuring Arts Research Center. Sounds scary already. No, thank you. I can already tell you that right now. And it is a library dedicated to magic, tricks, and related topics. It opened in Manhattan, New York in 2003. And number 5, this one I thought was really cool too. There is a colony of bats that reside in the Rococo Library in Portugal. And you're like, what? The reason why is because at night when the library's closed, the bats obviously come out because they're nocturnal. And they eat the bugs, which prevents any additional stuff that needs to be sprayed or taken care of, because the bats are basically protecting those books from those bugs that would normally destroy the books over time. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, I thought it was Next, one more thing, and then we can move on. Now, here it is, 1668 to 1630 BC. The Library of Ashurbanipal in Iraq, believed to be one of the oldest libraries in the world. That's kind of cool. Then, 284 to 260 BC, Xenodotus is the first librarian. Yeah, that's right. There's actual historical records of a first librarian recorded in history at the Library of Alexandria in Egypt, which is one of the largest and most significant libraries in the world of the ancient world, up until the time it was believed to be burned down. That's kind of sad. 1753. In the UK, a public library was suggested in 1556. However, it never gained traction, and then finally in 1753, one was opened to the public, part of the British Museum. And in 1933, the first U.S. library is established for and by African Americans in Philadelphia. So I thought those were all very interesting facts and stories all around the Dewey Decimal System. So happy Dewey Decimal Day and happy birthday to Marvel Dewey. All right, next up, human rights. So human rights, we've got a lot of facts about human rights. Here are 5 that I want to share with you. King Cyrus II of Persia, also known as King Cyrus the Great, was the founder of the Persian Empire, the first Persian Empire, and he was well known for freeing slaves, establishing radical equality, giving the right to religious freedom, very advanced for that time, I think. Now, another one is everyone has a right to leisure and holiday with pay. So what they're saying here is basically everyone has the right to paid vacation. And this is all thanks to Article 24 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. How cool is that? I think it's pretty cool. Now, another number. Number 3. There are approximately 250,000 children soldiers in the world across 20 countries, of which approximately 40% are girls who are often sold into the sex slave industry, which is sad. The women's suffrage movement in the United States lasted 17 years, and it is estimated that 12 million girls are married in childhood. And childhood here is anywhere between the ages of 16 and 18, under the ages of 16 and 18 each year. Wow. Those are some kind of staggering numbers when you look at human trafficking, really. And so if you're looking for something to donate to or support a cause, stopping human trafficking and all that would be one of them for sure. All right, next we have Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah. That's right. Today is the start of the 8-day holiday of Hanukkah. So 165 BCE, the Maccabees take back the temple, which is all where this all Hanukkah celebration starts. And then in 1863, there's this thing called Thanksgiving. So what happened was President Abraham Lincoln, when he officially declared the first Thanksgiving to fall on the last Thursday of the month of November, he didn't realize that it also coincided with one of the 8 holidays of Hanukkah. Therefore, that Thanksgiving was coined Thanksgiving. And then in 1951, David Ben-Gurion, Prime Minister of Israel at the time, presented the menorah to President Truman. In 1996, a Rugrats Chanukah, which is another way of saying Hanukkah, featured a Hanukkah episode that was both educational as well as entertaining, and they were known for really being really informative. So I thought that was kind of cool. And here is some traditions and a survey that was done to see what is being celebrated and, basically what are the holiday traditions for people. So they surveyed 1,000 people that celebrate Hanukkah, and this was the breakdown. So 74% of those prefer Hanukkah over Chanukah. You can be either one. 50% of women prefer sour cream on the potato pancakes, whereas 54% of men prefer applesauce on the as a topping. I would have to say, having the potato pancakes, I'm going to have to go with the applesauce in this one over the sour cream. Yeah, applesauce for me. Now, when they asked the question, do they play dreidel with real money? Here was the breakdown. 36% said yes, we play with actual money. Some of them said 24% said yes with pennies. 27% said no, but we play with candy. And then a 13% said no, I play with small tokens. And then finally, 68% of those surveyed said they get presents all 8 nights. That's a pretty good percentage there. 68%, that's a pretty high percentage. So, yes. So let me know, if you're celebrating Hanukkah, where do you fall on this? Is it Hanukkah or Chanukah? What do you like to put on your potato pancakes? Do you play the dreidel? If so, do you play with money, candy, tokens? And then finally, when you celebrate Hanukkah, do you get presents all 8 nights? Curious to know. And next, lager. Again, me getting to show you pictures of beer that I have taken and drank while living in Europe. So, and the little faded one there is I went to the Prague Beer Museum, and they had a nice little showing of the lager tree. So it's kind of like a genealogy tree, but for lagers. So there's that in there. There's some good lagers off to the right and to the left. I got to do lots of different tastings down on the left with, of course, a nice food platter there. One of my favorite lagers, though, would be a Yingling. And guess what? There's a special brew, that bottom right one, called a Cusco brew. Yeah, you're not going to know about it. You're not going to find it anywhere. It's because something that I bottled while in the Czech Republic, and I got to label it anything I wanted. And I named it Cusco Brew, which was named after my dog, Cusco. So yes, those, just a little quick description of the pictures. Now, on to the facts and the fun stuff about Lager Day. So, 1741, Benio Shoei was known as the father of modern brewing and early adopter of the term lagering, which was born then. In 1842, the town of Plzeň, Bohemia, produced the world's first golden lager. In 1876, in Munich, of course, one of the very beer capitals of the world, lager brewing took a leap forward with von Lindy's refrigeration, notably at the Pauliner Brewery. Trust me, the Pauliners are all over Germany. So many. I literally, pretty much every little town has at least one Pauliner bar, I swear. Or pub, or whatever you want to call it. They do. And then finally, 2019, A Brief History of Lager. 500 years. Brief history? Whew. 500 years of world's favorite beer is published. So, those are your interesting facts when it comes to lager. Now, those are all the national holidays for today. So before I go, let's just do a quick reminder that we're still doing hashtag CK's Antics December Fun. This is a time where we get to get into the holiday spirit. I give you a prompt for each day. If you want to participate, you can write a poem, sing a song, make a drawing, make a painting. Doesn't matter. Just be creative and use the word for the day. Speaking of the word for the day, today's word and prompt is wreath. So go ahead, get creative today and let me know what you come up with the word wreath. And with that, folks, that is the end of today's national holidays for Thursday, December 10th. I'm your host, CK, and I hope you enjoy these videos. And if you are, make sure to go ahead and give me a like, hit subscribe, and of course, leave a comment down below. And let me know where you fall on the history of lager. Do you like lager at all, or you don't care? What about the Dewey Decimal System? What do you think about that? And Hanukkah, What things do you celebrate if you do celebrate Hanukkah? Where do you fall on those various things? And then finally, don't forget Human Rights Day. And one last thing I'll leave you with before I take off. And that is, if you're really curious about what type of logger you might be, there's actually a quiz. It's about 6 questions long. It's really simple. I took the quiz. Turns out I'm an amber logger. I am a true connoisseur. So I like to dive into something and get really educated on it and then move on to something else. So the link for that little quiz is below in the description. And with that, I wish you all a fond day. And I'll see you right back here tomorrow for another round of CK's Antics. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.